Okay, thank you and welcome to the kickoff meeting for the national relays as part of the relay of the European Road Safety Charter. My name is Alexandra Humphries-Bach and I'm the project manager for the new European Road Safety Charter contract. I work for Ricardo, who have been appointed by DG Move to manage the charter on their behalf. My role today is to guide you through the program. I'm very pleased that so many are able to join us today. I would also like to thank you for joining the Charter as a national relay, and I look forward to many months of productive collaboration to support the EU in achieving its Vision Zero goal. If we can move to the next slide, please. And the next one, please. However, before we start with our first presentation, I would like to point out a few housekeeping rules. The main session will be recorded. Ensure your display name is correct, first name and second name. This can be changed by finding yourself in the participants window and clicking on More and Rename. Attendee microphones are muted. However, you can unmute yourself if called upon to do so. The mute icon is at bottom left of the screen. You can submit questions throughout the event using the chat function at the bottom center of the screen. Please send your questions to Thomas Harold and he will read them out during the Q&A segments. Or during the Q&A sessions, you can ask a question in person. Please use the raise hand icon, which is at the bottom left of the participants window. Thomas or I will then invite you to unmute yourself during the Q&A session. Also, we'll be running 2 breakout sessions today. You will be automatically entered into the breakout session and you will not be able to swap rooms. During the breakout sessions, please turn your camera on and unmute yourself. Both icons are at the bottom left of the screen. Finally, we would like to ask you to complete the survey feedback. The SurveyMonkey link will be provided at the end of today's event. If we can move to the next slide, please. So let's get started. I'm very pleased that we are joined today by Matthew Baldwin, Deputy Director General for DG Move and also European Coordinator for Road Safety. He will start us off with an overview of the Commission's vision for the Charter. At this stage, I would also like to welcome Sarah Lynch, who's DG Project Officer for the Charter. There will be time for a few questions for Matthew before we move on to our second presentation by Vincent Leroy, who many of you will have already met, also probably just virtually. Vincent is the Charter's road safety expert from our partners at VIAS. He will explain the role of the national relay and will also share the list of all national relays. Later in the day, my colleague Lindsay Thiel, Communications Lead for the Charter at Ricardo, will tell you about our plans on how to engage with stakeholders and members and what tools support will be available to you. Today, we will also hear from Fernando Camarero, who's the national contact point for the Charter at Fundación Mapfre in Spain. And we will also hear from Vasiliki Danelli Milona, who's the president of BOD at the Road Safety Institute, RSI Panos Milonas in Greece. They will both describe their experience in supporting the Charter and their vision for becoming a national relay. We will finish off the day with a Q&A session. So let me now hand over to Matthew.
Hello, I'm just starting up my video there. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much indeed for your kind introduction, Alexandra. Greetings to everybody. This is a big moment for us, and it is a big moment for me, the relaunch of the European Road Safety Charter, which is a precious institution. Thanks to everyone at Ricardo, Alexander, and all your team for all the tremendous work you've been doing over the last few months. And thanks also to our very own Sarah Lynch, who is the project officer working on this. And everything I hear says that you're establishing quite a great team there. Apologies particularly to my good friends Jesus and Vasiliki, because I can't stick around to hear your presentations live, but I will make sure I catch up with them on the recorded version of this. Again, the relaunch of the European Road Safety Charter is absolutely essential. You are our main vehicle for reaching out to this very diverse community we have in road safety, to all the different constituencies, and everyone who thinks that different aspects of road safety are important, and there are many different aspects. I come to join you, I think this is the third time I put a suit and tie on this year, from a very successful first EU road safety results conference. I say successful, but we of course had to note for the first time formally that we failed to meet our target of a 50% reduction in deaths and serious injuries for the last decade, from 2011 to 2020. We did actually record, as you probably know, a 4,000 drop in road deaths, because in 2020, 17% decline. But of course, we know why. It was because of the COVID epidemic. And unfortunately, what is also clear is the decline in road deaths did not match proportionately the decline in road traffic. So we have some work ahead of us, ladies and gentlemen. The European Road Safety Charter has been around for a while. It already is proud to have more than, I think, 3,000 members. I'm sorry, that's probably not the exact number. I didn't check. There has been a lull in our activities from Brussels, I'm sure not at your end, over the last year or so, partly because of COVID and partly because we were between contractors. Before Ricardo took on, we had a gap, and I'm sorry about that. It meant that you probably didn't get the same sense of organization and commitment coming from the Brussels end. I'm delighted with Ricardo, with the support of VIAS, of course, we'll be driving this forward. You are very dependable partners, I now know, and cherish that. We want to take this solid foundation we have with the Charter as it is and build an even greater presence and awareness of the Charter right across the European Union. We need this network to help us increase cooperation, to inspire more people, to get more organizations involved. And ultimately, of course, this is because, notwithstanding we've missed the target for the last decade, we are back on the horse. We are going for a 50% reduction for the decade 2021 to 2030. And we're going for it. We're going for it big time. We have a new European road safety strategy, which I'm sure you know about, and we need you to disseminate. One that relies on and is based on the SAFE system, the Vision Zero process. And we will not achieve this target without a step change in our ability to drive citizens' involvement and behavior change across Europe. I think I just quoted in the last conference a famous quote of Einstein, which is the definition of madness is carrying on doing the same things and expecting different results. And that's what we can't afford to do in everything we do, whether it's legislative or otherwise at the European, national, regional, or local level. And the same applies to the Charter. We need to rethink, to work out how we can play a more effective role together. And our goal, our view on that, is that we need to build a stronger presence at national level, in particular through the Charter, and thereby, through you, the national relays, to increase awareness amongst the different types of organizations and entities. For example, think of all the different players in the motor industry and in transport more generally, large or small employers who run fleets of cars, vans, or trucks. All the different research institutes, maybe not even just the specific road safety institutes, but those that handle injury prevention, health issues more generally, making those connections with the sustainable mobility group, which is also, I think, something which the Stockholm Charter encourages encourages us to do. The education sector. Schools and universities are often some of the best vectors for the messages that we're trying to deliver, particularly on things like active mobility. And of course, last but absolutely not least, all kinds of NGOs, large and small. We need you, and we want you inside the European Road Safety Charter tent. One of the great things about the Charter in the years gone by is how much we can learn from each other. It's a fantastic vehicle for exchanging good practices and mutual learning. Just recently, a new member, a Finnish pharmaceutical company, reached out to us and said, we need to find similar companies in other member states with whom they could exchange ideas of relevance to road safety. So there's so much potential here. So it follows, I think, from that you, no pressure, you, the national relays, have an absolutely vital role to play here. Thank you to all of you who've established relays and have been doing your work for a number of years. Thank you for what you're going to do in the future with us. And I think the importance of the relays is that if you think about just road traffic law, road safety remains a national business. It's France and Portugal and Denmark and Poland that set their speed limits, that decide on their road traffic laws, on their penalties, on their levels of enforcement. And so much of that remains the base to what we do. Of course, there's a strong European dimension, and we can use the Charter to echo that, whether it's on vehicle safety, infrastructure safety, or in all the other areas. But that's why it's so great to have this strong national links. And you, the relays, know your national context far better than I would ever know. You know who is active in road safety awareness, and equally who is not. You know which ministers are positive about road safety and those which are less positive. You can identify the relevant milestones and events around which to get that crucial conversation started. It could be a local festival. It might be a major national conference. I'm attending a German road safety, a national German road safety results conference, and I shall be absolutely plugging the Charter there and trying to use that as a basis to drive work forward even further and faster in Germany. You can play matchmaker to bring different players together nationally or even across borders. I've worked several times, and now of course I forget the name of the group, but it involved Austria, Slovakia, the Czech Republic, groups of, it will come back to me, I'm sorry, in a minute, the name of the group, but working on road safety across borders is elemental. It doesn't have to be at the European level. It can be through groups of neighboring countries. And the good news is we are going to support you in what you're doing. You'll be hearing from our colleagues in Ricardo and Vyas on how exactly to play your role, but what support they can bring and we can bring for your events and actions. My colleagues and I at the Commission will do everything we can to support you, participating in national events when travel allows, or virtually if it doesn't allow, amplifying your messages, highlighting the good practices. That relies on you telling us about the good things and the bad things that are going on so that we can amplify them and talk to them. I can talk to people at relatively senior levels in the government. We have a high-level group for road safety, which brings in the senior officials together from all the 27 member states. We are your vehicle every bit as much as you are our vehicle. And speaking of good practices, one of the highlights, which I always love, of the European Road Safety Charter year is the awards ceremony, both to reward people and organizations that have gone that extra mile or that extra kilometer for road safety, also serving as an inspiration for others who might need a little push to do more. But also, of course, the award ceremony is a great publicity event for everything that you and we are trying to achieve on road safety. We'll be organizing the awards again this autumn. Please start thinking now about the innovative ideas, the successful projects, the new ways of doing things that get road safety on the front pages again for the right reasons, not for the reasons about deaths and injuries, but because we are starting to make real change in how we're doing things. And we'll be in touch with you soon about the nomination process for that awards. For today, and again, I'm kicking myself, I can't spend more time with you. My humble advice, but you decide, is to take this chance to meet your partners in other EU countries, share the pains and the gains that you've suffered and that you've made in taking things forward. share the energy that I know so many of you generated, and sometimes can exploit at the European level to take back home to your home countries. Reach out to those organizations and learn from your partners in national relays what kinds of organizations they reach out to in terms of generating involvement. Form alliances at home and abroad with all of those who share interests. I want to stop there because I've already taken way too long, but I just wanted to say that from the humble perspective of the European Commission, what you are going to do, your actions, your commitments to boost road safety, your actions to gather other people's commitments to boost road safety are going to be completely fundamental to achieving Vision Zero in Europe and completely fundamental to our work in the decade. So I'm available at any moment whenever you wish to discuss something. I can be reached, I do quite a lot of social media on Twitter at Baldwin Matthew _, and don't forget the Charter's own Twitter handle at ERS Charter. And they are very active on social media, and you know, this is another great vector. I'm sure you'll be hearing more from them about that as well. Sorry to speak too long, Alexandra. Thanks a lot. Stick around as long as I can, and then I'll quietly slip away when I can't stay any longer. But thank you for everything.
Thank you very much, Matthew, for setting the scene so well and starting off our discussions today. As Matthew said, unfortunately, he will not be able to stay with us for the whole event today. However, if there are any sort of key questions, maybe we can take one or two.
As many as we have time for, or you can bear.
Great. Thomas, are there any questions? I can't see any in the chat, or are there any raised hands?
I'm not seeing any coming through just yet, but
Or
just to
comment, I mean, or anyone who wants to say anything they like. Huh? Thomas, sorry, I interrupted you.
Just to reiterate that, please send your questions to me. That's Thomas Harold in the chat function. You can open that up by clicking the chat icon at the bottom center of your screen.
Well, if there are no immediate questions, maybe they will come later. Matthew, would we be able to send them to you by email after the event?
Of course. I mean, either via Sarah or direct to me on email, and also problems of comments as well. I mean, on how we've gone about this. Of course, we've arranged the contract which Ricardo and Vias are working on. So if you have any comments on any of the arrangements, you let us know. I function quite well, I would say, on the basis of constructive criticism. I want to hear if people are unhappy or they're struggling or whatever it is. We want to get strong national relays going in every country. It's not straightforward in some countries, and we'll be working very hard to help connect all those dots up. But if I could just leave you with one message, is that I think COVID cost us quite a lot of momentum in road safety. This time last year, we were coming out of the Stockholm Road Safety Conference with a powerful declaration addressing so many of the things that we are trying to do in the European Union or at a member state level. And then, of course, COVID happened and concerns understandably went elsewhere. And we've lost that momentum. In the middle of the COVID crisis, we managed to convert the Stockholm Declaration into the UN General Assembly resolution. So this is backed now at UN level. And we're now hard at work at producing a global plan of action. And put in your diaries the UN Global Road Safety Week from the 18th to the 23rd of May, where we'll be having, I think, quite a powerful campaign on the 30-kilometer-hour speed limit. Hashtag Love30, hashtag Streets for Life. Gosh, sounding like someone under the age of 50 here for a moment. And there's lots of different ways in which progress is starting to be renewed. And it makes sense because if you look at the global numbers, it's a bit better in Europe. But if you look at the global numbers, the number of people who have died, sadly, in the to the COVID virus during the course of 2020 was pretty close, certainly the same order of magnitude to the number of people who die globally on our roads each and every year. And I think so the notion of road safety as a pandemic, as a health issue, is going to come, and we need to exploit, sounds the wrong word, we need to use this broader sense of action to save and preserve public health and bring that into the road safety sphere as soon as we can. It's a good moment to be relaunching the relays.
Thank you very much. I suggest we move on then. We will now hear from Vincent Leroy on the role of the relays in more detail.
Yes, thank you very much, Matthew, for your motivational and inspirational opening speech. I'm very happy to hear that the European Commission is giving us the necessary rocket power to relaunch the Charter. And as Matthew said, you are giving us that power. You as National Relay are so necessary to relaunch that Charter. And with the promised support in several ways, we are having all the tools necessary to achieve the goals we have set out. And in the last few weeks, we discussed, and next slide, please, the different tasks and requirements that are presented to you as National Relay, where we want to have specific goals set, objectives ahead of us. And we identified the national relays to have multiple roles in that. And the roles that are presented now, I will discuss them with specific and understandable examples for you, so you are aware that we have learned from the past to achieve the ambitions we have for our future. Next one, please. So as National Relay, you are a very important promoter, not only to raise awareness on the European Road Safety Charter, but also on different other aspects. Raising awareness is the first and most important step to take to create more awareness in the member state level and at the local level. And communication is crucial for that. And therefore, we have developed as Charter team specific ways for you to support that, to raise that awareness. And specific examples are the newsletter, the social media channels, the updated website. And to support that, we need branding material. So in all communication activities you have, whether you send out a newsletter, whether you retweet a message of the Charter, whether you have organized a webinar on a specific road safety topic, whether you participate in a third-party event and where you represent the Charter and where you present yourself as a national relay, or if you are stimulating your members in your member state to apply for that award in good practice, the branding is crucial to aim at that topic in raising awareness. So therefore, that branding material in the communication is crucial to have that stronger presence at the national and the local level. So that specific material is something we will give to you and you can use in all your own communication, showing that you are an engaged Charter member, more specifically, that you are the national relay to support that. And therefore, you as national relay, you are the best placed, as Matthew said as well, to feel what's living in the streets. What are people having in their mind as a concern, as a challenge? What problems do they face, whether it's local or national? And therefore, you are the best placed organizations to support us on that, to have this more tailored approach, because that's so important to raise the awareness and to create more attractivity, to stimulate engagement and certainly commitments. And that commitment is very important. It's not the case in having more members of the Charter. The purpose is to have more active members that take real actions to improve road safety, to have our 0 deaths on the roads. Next one, please. Another role as national relay is connecting. connecting at local and national, but also at international level, connecting members with each other. The nice example Matthew gave on the French pharmaceutical company is a very interesting one. It's an international cooperation that we want to see there. And that can only happen if we connect with each other, if we communicate with each other. So liaising between members or potential members is also an important task for the national relay, so that they are aware that you are the national relay and that they can get in touch with you to liaise with the right partner, with the right organization to make things happen. And once again, that tailored approach is very crucial to make it sustainable, so that people feel comfortable in their role as charter member, in their role as partner of a partnership. And only in that way we can strengthen the road safety community in general and the charter family specifically. So making links, connecting the dots, solving the missing link, that's an important role for you as a national relay. Whether you are developing a road safety action plan, whether you are organizing a charter workshop or organizing a charter webinar, that's so important to create the connection between the road safety family members. Next one, please. Communication, we have experienced in the past, that is so important. And therefore, in this new approach, the 24 EU languages are very crucial to have a strong collaboration between each other. Reaching out to the member state level may not stop because of a misunderstanding of bad language skills. So therefore, you as a national relay are invited to support us on that. Content can come from you, can come from us, and language support is also something where we rely on your experience. We will translate our content material and you will be asked to review it so that the message we want to deliver on the local and national level is well understood, is having an appeal, so people feel that call to action. And we don't want to see it failed because of a lesser use of words. Use of language is therefore so important, because only in that way we are convinced that we can have a better mobilization of all road safety stakeholders at the member state level. So communication, not only on branding, but also in content and the use of the right words, the use of the right expressions is crucial. For the upcoming newsletters, social media messages, press releases, you will be asked to review what has been translated by the charter team, and after confirmation from your side, we can take the next real step in reaching out to the charter family. So that tailored communication is very crucial. And there you have a very important role. Next one, please. Facilitator, the fourth role we see for the national relays. Not only we want you to reach out to the current charter members, you will receive from us the database on the member state level. Who do we know until now is being a charter member? Reaching out to them is inviting them to show that they are still a member, is showing that we are still alive, that we have relaunched with that new rocket power, and not only asking them, are you still alive as a member, but encouraging them to become a more active member and to reach out to their own network by inviting their own road safety family in becoming a member, So our family of charter members is becoming not only bigger and bigger, but also more powerful, more able to make a difference on the roads and to show to each other we are taking real commitments. And you as a national relay has a very important facilitating role in that. So you can be the source of inspiration, just as Matthew is one of ours now in our opening speech of this relaunch event and kickoff event for you. If those members reach out to us in need of help, in need of assistance, in need of connecting, then you can take that important facilitating role in once again connecting the dots, liaising between each other. And once again, the example of the French pharma company is a very inspiring one. We have other examples as well, and they will be shared through the newsletter, through the social media, through the website in different ways. And once again, it's up to you to translate them into their own local national context so people understand what's it all about. And that facilitating part is so important to have all road safety stakeholders in the member state on board. And the new call for voluntary commitments, aside the call for good practices, is a very important one. So we can reach out to the charter member family and say, okay, we have the call for good practices, and we have also a new call for voluntary commitments where we invite the charter members that go beyond the legal requirements to improve road safety, to step up and to show to the charter family what they have learned, what they have reached, what was the impact on their real engagement with that voluntary commitment. You can take an important role as a facilitator to reach out to your members in your member state, to stimulate them to share that voluntary commitment, to inspire others to do the same with the local approach. Next one, please. Supporting, as we, as charter team, as the European Commission is supporting all of us, the national relays, in increasing awareness, in increasing the level of activity of the members, you as national relay have also that important supporting role. The several ways of communication, the newsletter, the website, the social media, webinars, award ceremonies, third-party events. It's very important, you as a supporter, to take that opportunity to network, to get in touch with each other, and to use the powerful strength of knowledge sharing, reaching out to others with the good practices that we share between us, to use as a source of inspiration, but also as a level of attractivity. So others are more curious to know what is the charter, what's the added value for me to become a member of the charter. And if you can support that message to your own national and local charter members, then we have a few steps we can take ahead. So that dissemination of good practices is very important for you to support that. And having it in the national language makes it more accessible, more useful. And that's what we want. Workshops, webinars, events, whether it's national or international, the right communication is very important, where we once again have you supporting us, reaching out to the charter family, using the right words, using the right expressions, but also to say, okay, this is what lives in our member state. This has happened locally, and this is what we need to talk about. where we need to discuss this and to raise it to the international level, to make things happen, to make things change. So you, as National Relay, are also invited to help us in the organization of these kinds of events, to raise the awareness on the Charter, but also to take, once again, real action to improve road safety. Next one. So in brief, you as National Relay are an ambassador. You know what's important, to have that bottom-up approach, to have the local national members engaged, committed to take real action and to become an active member and pick it up to the international level. Because, once again, the European Road Safety Charter remains an EU initiative. And if we want to have the member state level engaged and committed, you having that crucial role as National Relay, you being that important ambassador, that's why we are here now. Because you are representing civil society in your member state. And the next slide shows us an overview of our current confirmed national relays. We almost have everyone in place. There are some approvals awaiting for us. The green ones have formally confirmed, and the gray ones, there we need some formal approval. And this overview of the 27 member states and the almost 27 national relays shows us that the European Commission is convinced that this new approach, which far more support than in the past, tailored to the member state level, will make a huge difference. And we hope that the momentum we are building up will have a post-COVID effect. So we will see an increase in road safety. And your approach, supported by us as Charter team and the European Commission, can make that difference. If you have specific questions, you can raise them in the chat or afterwards, later on this kickoff event. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vincent, for the detailed introduction of the role of the National Relay. We actually have a couple of questions in the chat. So one of them is just seeking reconfirmation that national relays will have access to nationally registered organizations info. So I assume that is member info, so that the national relays can approach them, tell them the ERC Charter is relaunched and that they are the national relay organization for the specific member state.
Yeah, exactly. The sharing of the member state level data on who is our current member in our member state is very important, to have a cleaned database. But there's another objective, is showing that we have relaunched the Charter, that we are still there, and reaching out with that additional message is also very important, not only to receive confirmation from the member, okay, you are still a member, but also to invite them to get curious again, to show that we are still alive and more alive than before.
Thank you. And then we have another comment, but I suggest we pick that up later in the communications discussion, which is that Twitter is a great social media channel, but it is used by only a small fraction of stakeholders. So the hope is that the Charter will also be active on Facebook, which indeed we are, but Lindsay will tell you all about the use of social media later on. Thomas, are there any other questions? If not, then I suggest we move on.
No further questions at this point, Alexandra, no.
Thank you. Okay. So we will now move on to a case study from one of the previous national relays, and we will now hear from, and I think we now hear a joint presentation from Fernando Camarero and also Jesus Monclús from the Fundación MAPFRE in Spain, and they will share their experience, vision, and also challenges of being a national relay.
Just go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can.
Okay, thank you. Hopefully you will also see me, but first of all, I want to apologize because I had a family health issue this morning, and luckily enough, it's been taken care of. And I actually didn't want to miss this interaction opportunity with you. So we will be sharing with my colleague Fernando, and I also thank Fernando for the flexibility, because 10 minutes ago he was going to make the whole presentation. Now we are going to share it. So if we move to the next slide, and before I wanted to explain how happy that how proud and privileged we feel that we are because of being part of this network. We were together, I think, this morning in the European Results Conference, and I think there's a lot of responsibility, nothing that we cannot really be successful, but there's a big responsibility for improvement. I just went to the Cambridge Dictionary, and actually Vincent explained very well, perfectly what it is expected from ourselves. But if you go to the second definition, and it says like there is a group of people, a relay is a group of people who continue an activity that others from the same team or organization have been doing previously. And I also think this is a very important issue, because we must really acknowledge all the work that has been done before this moment in time, it's so challenging and so exciting and so thrilling at the same time to be able to be part of this relay race. The relay race is a very normal concept in sports, in Olympics, and if we want to think about that, it's a race against death on the road. So I can't think of anything more important than that. So if we move to the next one, and I think that Vincent has actually already explained all the issues. I just wanted to emphasize a little bit, and with this slide that we are watching now, I will give the word to Fernando. But before passing the word to Fernando, please, stick with me, because I want to emphasize another thing. I think that the European Union is the largest socio-political initiative in the history of humankind. And I don't pretend to write nice sentences, but I fully believe what I just said. And if we think about road safety, the European Union is also the safest international region in the whole world. There might be some safest countries, outside the European Union. We might think about Norway, but we might also think about, maybe New Zealand, Australia, some other countries which are also leading the way in terms of road safety, Switzerland and some others. But, largest socio-political initiative, safest region in the world, and the Charter. The Charter is actually the largest road safety network in the world. I don't know any other network with around 4,000 members. So just remember that we are going to be stronger together, and I hope that we will be able to put or run that extra mile that it will be needed by 2030, and in order to improve the data, the figures, and as I said, to win this relay race against death. And Fernando, would you like to continue from here?
Yeah, sure. Very briefly, let me give you an idea about the entity I myself represent today. Fundación Mafre is a non-profit organization created in 1975 by Mafre Group, one of the largest foundations in Spain and probably in Europe as well. I'm firmly committed to road safety and in general with society as a whole, with the double intention of contributing to the social welfare. In order to achieve this goal, we hold a wide range of activities worldwide, focusing on 5 key areas: social action, cultural, health promotion, prevention and road safety, and insurance and social protection. And our project addresses 4 target risk groups: children, young people, adult, and senior citizens. Next one, please. The accident prevention and road safety area aims to prevent every type of unintentional injury because we are convinced that the vast majority of such injuries are avoidable. Our 3 main aims are basically, firstly, to educate children and young people on how to prevent injuries caused by traffic accidents, fire, and domestic accidents as well. Secondly, to raise awareness and convince those in charge of public policy, technical experts and professional workers in general, and ultimately society as a whole, that it is possible to arrive at goal zero in terms of serious or fatal injuries. And thirdly, to do research in order to devise objective, cost-effective action, and also in order to attract media attention, in order to spread the message in society. Our activities are carried out through several educational programs and awareness campaigns on road safety and on preventing injuries in the home and fires. In this context, I would like to headline those of our activities whose road safety components include specific actions regarding child car seats for cars and encourage good practice on the part of young people, cyclists, and motorcycles. Next one, please. As I said, our activities are not restricted to Spain. We have carried out action and accident prevention and road safety campaigns in 23 countries, where we have rolled out a huge number of activities, mainly in Latin America, Europe, and Turkey, as well as United States. Next one, please. And about our previous work as national relay, this is summarized in a workshop that we organized in 2019 at Fundación Mafre. So we have little experience, and thus we kindly beg you, because we haven't received a manual for beginners yet, if you could please contact us with the intention to learn about your daily experience and hard work. Next one, please. Jesus, go ahead.
Thank you. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Well, you know, I don't know if you are getting my video, but if you do, you will see that I'm in the car and, you know, I couldn't come back to the office, but I'm safely parked in a legal parking place in one of the main streets in Madrid. So one of the suggestions for this presentation was actually to focus on barriers and ways to overcome them. And I've prepared, together with Fernando, we've prepared this list here. You see that there are some barriers, but there are a lot of ways to overcome them. That's the first message. So one of the things, the challenges that we're facing in Spain is that Spain has around 1/4 of the whole network are members from Spain. So that could be a barrier for action, but we will see that, you know, very quickly we can move that, we can shift that into an opportunity. We think that we have seen a little activity during the last few years. So that's something that we need to work in the next months or weeks. And also probably some of the commitments are aging commitments. So I can imagine that some members, you know, are 10, 12, 14 years old in their commitments, and the commitments, you know, how the entire world was 14 years ago, it has very little to see with all the challenges and all the transformation that we are seeing together. If we move to the ways to overcome them, as I said, you know, a large network is okay. We don't need to fix that. We just need to mobilize them. We need to support or to obtain support from previous contact points. And actually, we were very happy last week that we were talking with Raimundo Garcia Cuesta, who used to take the role of promoting the network in Spain, and he's fully supportive of our participation as National Relay. And I hope that we will be working together with Raimundo. And one of the things that we might need to do as soon as possible is to have an initial round of contacts. Of course, this will depend on the debate today and you know what I think might become a roadmap of action for national relay points in the next few days. We have also thought that we might survey maybe a sample of signatories, because as I said, the network in Spain is made of around 1,000 signatories. And in order also, to explore how we could make this renewal of commitments, that I think we have this huge opportunity to try to connect and to align the 2018 EU road safety strategy with the activities of the Charter and the members. And also, need to say that, there are huge opportunities also to link and to promote the participation in the European Mobility Week. Also, and I was personally very happy that Jonathan Passmore from the United Nations Road Safety Collaboration, from the World Health Organization, was very active also this morning. So we also have an opportunity. This is also, this is just some very quick issues to be discussed, to be, shared with them. We are not talking about anything definitely, anything decided yet. But, I think that we have this opportunity of linking with the United Nations Road Safety Collaboration and the United Nations Road Safety Week, which is taking place next month. Probably this week is too early, but who knows in 2 years' time how we can coordinate. Also, as it was shown in one of our slides, all the opportunities that the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, are representing right now. We are actually starting all our safe, healthy, and sustainable mobility workshops for children. As Fernando explained, we focus on education. Talking about actually the SDGs, how the planet is vulnerable, how we are part of the planet, how our body is vulnerable, and from then we build on risk prevention. Social media, I will not discuss this because I've seen that it will be discussed later, and a lot of interaction, of course, within ourselves, within the entire National Relay Network. If we move to the second to last, actually, slide, as I mentioned, I think that, one of the first tasks that we propose in cooperation with VIAS, with Vincent, with Ricardo, with the whole network, with the European Commission, is to prepare a roadmap of immediate action for our work as National Relay in Spain. So we are thinking that we might be in the position of organizing an event, maybe online, maybe face-to-face next year, but not just one event along the duration of the project, but a yearly event. I think we've done that, as mentioned, explained a couple of years ago, and we're ready to do that yearly in Spain. As you could see in the map, we have a strong presence in Latin America. And I'm talking personally, but I would love the Latin American friends and brothers and sisters to benefit and to learn and maybe to replicate something that we are reinvigorating today with the Charter. So this is a personal and also, I should say, an institutional commitment. I mentioned also the alignment with the European Union's road safety strategy. And as you could also see in the map, we also have some activities, some interests, some resources actually in Portugal, Malta, Germany, and Italy in terms of the European Union. So we are really eager and happy and willing and ready to interact with the national relays in those countries in order to support also their activities in those countries. And we have also started to make a list of available networks in Spain. And I should have actually started this list here with the victims associations that I think, should be at the core of our activities. They're the main motivation for what we do today and for the years ahead. Cities, regions, parliamentarians, we are actually now proposing some changes into the Spanish laws, some of them or most of them focusing on vulnerable road users. There's a ongoing at this exact time debate at the Spanish Parliament, and we are working with them. Needless to say that the Spanish Road Safety Council, which is made of around 70 organizations, might be in our sphere of activity. Enterprises, we've been active and we've been supporting the PRAISE European Transport Safety Council project for many years. So we have many opportunities, and actually it was mentioned several times this morning, the work-related road safety, fleet safety as one opportunity of action for the next years, and also schools. There's a new organization, which is the Spanish Road Safety Alliance, again, around 80 members, most of them also in the council, in the safety council, but another opportunity. Traffic police educators, there's a large network, many of them are already members of the charter, which is called FETEBI. There are police officers working on traffic education for children. Firefighters are also becoming more and more interested. We run a very large fire and burn prevention campaign, and we know that they're really eager to work on traffic safety prevention, also to train people on first responders in traffic crashes, and finally, professional associations and car dealerships. We will be presenting tomorrow a joint campaign with car dealerships, with the main car dealership network in Spain, which is made of more than 2,000 dealerships. So you can imagine that if we are able and we are successful with that, we will, opening an opportunity of action that I think would be really innovative around the world. And that's all. You have, you have the contact details of Fernando and myself. In the next slide, Fernando will actually be the national relay point, and I will be the sponsor of this organization internally. So Fernando, if you want to say the goodbye words, please go ahead.
No, just in the last one, just to thank for all of you for this opportunity, and all your support and all your hard work and experience will be very welcome, because will be a excellent opportunity to share all this magnificent work with all our network of organization with which we have been collaborating for many years. As Jesus said, victim association, schools, company, public administration, and society in general. Thus, will you help everyone in Spain will be aware of the efforts that the European Union and all of you are making to preserve life in our countries. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much both to Jesus and Fernando for your very interesting and very detailed presentation describing your thoughts and previous experiences. We have a couple of sort of comments and questions for you, if you're happy to take them now. So one comment is, the problem with aging commitments should be important to solve this year. And I think we all agree with that. Then there was a specific question. One of your slides mentioned SDG, and we were wondering what that stood for.
Sorry, SDGs are the Sustainable Development Goals, and it was clear in the Stockholm Declaration and the work before, and also in the European Commission documents, that we need to frame. I think that if we think about the challenges for the young people, for kids, they go even beyond road safety. So it's one of the last calls for the planet. I would dare to say. Is this current Sustainable Development Goals is the first time that reduction of casualties and injuries is mentioned at the global world, and we have a lot of things to do. It's something that we think is of the interest of everybody. So it's a way of bringing back some new energy, some reinvigoration terminology also to our activities. If we frame what we do within the Sustainable Development Goals, that's our main comment on that sense. And we will be happy, as with any other points in the slide, to discuss it, to get into more detail, to see how we've done things, because I'm sure that everybody will have done a lot of things in the past, in the last years, and how we could move together. SDGs are the main political agenda worldwide level. So let's take the advantage of that, and let's apply and let's bring it down to road safety. That's our main goal with that terminology and with that framework.
Thank you. And we've got one final question before we move on. And I think you mentioned the European Mobility Week in your slides as well. And indeed, yesterday, it was the awards ceremony for the Urban Road Safety Awards, which is organised by the European Mobility Week. So the question was, what is the specific link you have in mind, or which exists with the European Mobility Week?
Well, I forgive me if I'm wrong. I try to be humble in my daily work, but I think that we still, there's an opportunity to bring closer all the European Union activities. That there might be, and actually the week, I think that we should be very active in promoting the week, in supporting the participation of the week. We are at we just want to make sure that we serve, actually, we serve the European Union, we serve the European Commission, and we serve the whole network and the project and our coordinators. So I'm trying to say that anything that we could be of help, it could be also the Day of Remembrance in November, promoting the Day of Remembrance is a global, is a WHO led initiative, but we might also be active in that sense in order to give coherence, to support even policy. I think that at some point, maybe the European Commission or the Parliament need to raise support for future legislation or for future action. I think that the network, the relay network, might also be of use, of advantage for, as I said, I could say that our patrons, our the European Commission and the Parliament and the European Union. So I think that we should be useful in many areas. So the national network, I see them as a facilitator, as a way of bringing everything that comes from Brussels closer to the local action, to the citizens in the different countries. I think that one of the mistakes that we see from our local politicians is that when there is a success, they take credit for the success, and when there is a failure or there are some complaints, that they look at Brussels. So we need to revert the whole situation. We need to acknowledge all the benefits from what I call the largest and best socio-political initiative.
Thank you very much for your detailed answers, and also thanks again for your very inspiring presentation. Before we now move into our first breakout session, I would like to introduce you all to Sarah Lynch, who's the project officer at DG Move. And hopefully you can now see Sarah, and she will just say a quick hello to everyone.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to say hi to thank you all for the commitment that you're making to the Charter today. I know many of you were in the Road Safety Conference also this morning, so thank you for sticking to your chairs all day on road safety issues. I know it's not an easy one. I wanted also to underpin what the colleagues have said, that really we're there for you and you're there for us, that it's really a two-way street in this organization, that we want to help you to the extent possible in sending out the message, in reaching the right political levels if you need to, but we're also really grateful for the feedback that you can give us on what's happening at national level. As Jesus was just saying, things like in the European Mobility Week, where there are actions going on, perhaps there's an action going on that's focusing on sustainable mobility, but you could bring a road safety aspect to it. Or there's something going on for the Remembrance Day that's also very important. There could be, you know, International Day of Children. There could be International Day of Peace. All of those things, you can bring a road safety touch to many occasions during the year. So we really encourage you on all of your events, on all of your networks. I thought that slide that Jesus had on the different networks that he has established in Spain for how he could reach out to different constituencies, I thought that was fascinating. And I'd love to hear other examples of different groups, different networks that you're thinking of reaching out to in the different member states. I think really the sky's the limit, and the more productive partnerships we can build at national and at European level, the better. So any support we can give, we're happy to do, and I wish you all the very best in your work in the coming weeks and months.
Thank you very much, Sarah, and I think that really sets the scene now for our first breakout session, where we will start the networking between the national relays. So you will be automatically put into a breakout group, and within that we will stay for the next 20 minutes. And what we'd like to ask you to do is briefly introduce yourself and your organization, taking up about a minute. And then we'd really like to start the discussions on, you know, the challenges and the support that you anticipate you need as a national relay to engage both new and existing members. Each breakout group will have a facilitator who will remind you again of the task and also do the timekeeping, and will also take some notes from the discussions. So we will now move to the breakout rooms. Thank you. Right, so I think we are all back from our breakout sessions. I hope you found the discussions interesting and stimulating. We will now move on to Lindsay Teal, our communications lead for the Charter at Ricardo, who will tell you about our plans on how to engage with stakeholders and members, and what tools and support will be available to you. So over to you, Lindsay.
Thank you very much, Alexandra, and hello, everybody. Next slide. Thank you, Ellie. So very quickly, before I go on to talk a little bit more about our communications activities on the Charter and how we can collaborate together, I just wanted to very quickly give an introduction to our team here at Ricardo and myself. We are a broad team of marketing communications experts, from event specialists and social media experts and more general marketing and communication consultants like myself. Personally, I'm based in Scotland, and I have over 12 years of experience at Ricardo working on lots of large-scale programmes for the Scottish Government, and more recently working on TRIMIS and ELTIS with the Commission. So working on the Charter is a really lovely complement to those, and very excited to kind of have that underway. You'll see these lovely people at the bottom of the screen. They're part of our team that you'll probably work with over the next few months and years. We have Thomas and Ellie, who have very kindly set up today's event, and they'll also be working on all of the other events that will operate under the Charter banner. We've got Jess Donnelly, who will support me on more general marketing and communication activities like the newsletter, maintaining the website, generating content for social media. And then we also have Les Harding, who's our technical editor and copywriter, and John Marsh, who is our lead designer. And so that's us. So moving on to the next slide. So our communications objective for the European Road Safety Charter is very much to increase the awareness of the Charter and to support its uptake within the road safety community across all of Europe. And from my mind, I see that as very much a two-layered approach and how we're going to achieve that. The top level being kind of more high level mass communications, more general, broader messages that are taken out to all of the member states. And then most importantly for today and how we will work together as national relays is that more national, local level communications, more direct, more tailored messages, more understanding of kind of in-country specific issues and how we can tailor the messages to the individuals in those countries. And I think it's really exciting to have this event today to start working with you to understand what those local insights are and to really have you as the national relays to create a multiplier effect for our messages and our communications. Okay, next slide. So to realise our objective, we'll be utilising many communications channels, from the website to newsletters, social media, branded collateral to help kind of compound our brand, events, member emails, press releases, and many more. But in the interest of today and also for the time that we have allowed, I'm going to focus on just a couple of those points and specifically on those channels and talk about what our plans are, what we're already doing, and most importantly, how you can kind of work with us to really elevate those channels and realise greater effect. So next slide, thanks, Ellie. So the first one is our website. So we have recently relaunched the website last week. So we have new content on there and that will be now continually evolving with fresh new content. An attractive and intuitive website is essential to our success on the Charter, and it will act as a central hub for all of our content that we're generating. So whether that be good practices, new member spotlights, member events, Charter ran events, road safety news, newsletters, and much more, and directing traffic to the site wherever possible through our other channels will be very key to our success. And we want to make sure that we also have a strong call to action for users of the website to become members if they are not already, and if they already are, then to become even more active members. But the website is only really as good as our content, so that's really where working with you, the national relays, becomes extremely important. And we want to make sure, as Vincent and Matthew have already highlighted, we want to work with you to build more good practices, more member stories, when the time is right for you to help us with increasing our award submissions, making sure that we have event information that is relevant to all of the user groups at both national and local levels. And that's really where your role will become really key so that we can keep the website fresh and up to date and engaging. Next slide. The next thing I just want to talk about is our newsletter. The newsletter, you can see on the right hand side there of the slide, we've kind of created a new designed newsletter. It's much more visual, engaging, and it really provides us with the perfect opportunity and platform to collate all of this content that we're, starting to generate now, and take that out to our members and our subscribers. The newsletter is highly trackable, so we can continually understand what information is performing well, what's of interest to people, and continually learn and improve the newsletter as we go forward. As we see on the slide there, it's a quarterly newsletter, and it's now going to be available in most official EU languages. And our first edition, very excitedly, was released last week, so our April edition, and that was sent to over 3,400 subscribers and was issued in 23 official EU languages. So for you as national relays, are you subscribed? And if you are not, then please go to our homepage and you'll see there's an option to subscribe to our newsletter. I'd encourage you to do that. We also want to work with you to encourage sign up at the national level to generate more subscribers and to circulate our newsletter content as widely as we can to your existing contacts. We also use social media to promote the newsletter and to share the content within the newsletter. So please do, I'll be talking about social media a bit more in a second, but engage with those posts and help us just spread the word and get the road safety messages that we are including in the newsletter out further. And very much like the website, the content that you guys are able to send to us in terms of good news stories and events, very much like the website, will be of utmost importance to keep the newsletter interesting and engaging. Okay, next slide. Now, events are an extremely important aspect to our communications, and there are kind of three main categories where we're focusing our efforts for events. We have third-party events, which are carefully selected exhibitions and conferences, which we will have European Road Safety Charter representatives at. They will be an opportunity for us to build the awareness of the Charter in areas where perhaps the awareness isn't great, and also drive membership. And depending on which events we select, it gives us an opportunity to collaborate with the national relay for that specific country and yeah, really elevate our attendance at those events. The next one is the annual awards, which of course Matthew has already touched on, but they are a really fantastic time for us to celebrate the good practices and share knowledge of good practice, and hopefully really activate members to complete projects, to start new projects, and really inspire people. And those annual awards are really important for us to work with you, not only to gather submissions, but also to celebrate your successes at a national level as well. And probably most specifically for our collaboration and working with you is the national events. And we're hoping to have an event within each member state over the kind of contractual period of our work on the programme, so over the next few years. And those events will be extremely powerful for us to take the messages of the Charter, but to really put a national focus on them and to deliver those events in a local language. So it gives us an opportunity to engage user groups and members and potential members. And we really hope to collaborate with you to generate a kind of toolkit for delivering those and support you in delivering those events when the time is right. Next slide. And on to social media. Our social media, we're already starting to generate more consistent content across our social media. We want to generate messages with stronger calls to action, whether that be to attend an event, to subscribe to the newsletter, to become a member, to share good news stories, promote national events and lots more. And very much like the newsletter and the website, our social media is only as good as our content. And we want to not only activate our existing following, which is, you know, we've got over 7,000 likes on Facebook, we've got over 5,400 followers on Twitter, but we really want to reactivate that and to grow that following. And I think we have such potential for collaborating with the national relays to do that. So we just ask you to please make sure you're following us. I've added the tags for our accounts on the right hand side of the screen, but also the QR codes. If you've got a smartphone, you can scan those to be sent to our pages. So make sure that you're following us As the National Relay, I would ask you to please make sure that you can share our posts that are relevant to do so, and to really take time to add your local insights to messaging that we're sending out. So if there is something you can add in the local language, then please do so, and just help us to really increase that reach. Encourage your members to share their stories on social media, and where possible tag us. Use the hashtags that we very frequently use, road safety and ERSC Charter, so that we can kind of follow that conversation and engage with those posts wherever possible. And something that would be useful, we're building a list of the social media handles for all the national relays, but if you get a moment, you can send those to the help desk as well, and we'll make sure that we can engage with you whenever we can and take your message out to our followers. And like Jesus and Sarah mentioned, there are, times when we'll want to do specific campaigns, whether that be Mobility Week or Remembrance Day. And as we're kind of building a clearer picture of our communication strategy, and specifically our social media strategy, we'll give more guidance on those specific campaigns when we can. Next slide. We're working now to refresh the branded collateral that we have available on the Charter, whether that be logos, posters, PowerPoint presentations, leaflets, email signatures. And once we've done that work to refresh that, then well, in all of the different official EU member languages. But once we've gone through the process of refreshing all of that collateral, then we'll be sharing that with you, and that will help to give you a toolkit of resources that you can use whenever you're attending events or using your own communication channels. Next slide. And I really just wanted to highlight something that's extremely important to us, and that's that we want to really measure our communications on the website, on the newsletter, on social media. We have a really kind of robust approach to tracking all of these interactions, and that really enables us to learn what's working and what's not, and ultimately deliver better results across all of our communication channels. And as we learn what works and what perhaps doesn't work so well, we'll obviously want to share those insights with you at a national level, so that you can understand perhaps what's proving to be more interesting to members and subscribers within your national relay remit. But equally, we want to continually learn from you and gain local insight and knowledge about what issues are important, and therefore how we can tailor our messaging to make sure that we're capturing what we need to capture and sending out the right messages. So on to my final slide. So what next, really? And as I've kind of touched on throughout my slides, we're finalising our communication strategy. We are refreshing all of the branded collateral and translating that into the official EU languages. We want to start working with all of you as national relays to develop a plan for national events. And as we're already doing, we want to continue to create more engaging content for our website, the newsletter, and social media. We're also now in the process of organising our annual awards, which Matthew mentioned, and we'll be sharing the information about those as soon as we can. And from you, really, we want to just take today and build on the relationships that you've forged with us here at the Charter from today, and also within your breakout groups, and really use those to elevate the work that you're doing. We want to continue to learn about your local insights, as I've mentioned, and share your good practices with us, share your member stories with us, and help us have content which really means something to our members and subscribers and followers. And like I said, you know, engage with us on social media and just really help us to create that multiplier effect, which will really is the power of the Charter and working with you all. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Lindsay, for a very detailed introduction to the communication plans and the tools available. Before we move on to our next speaker, I have quite a few questions for you, Lindsay. Don't worry, they're all fine. So one is really a comment or a request. What would be really useful for the national relays to really help with the rebirth, relaunch of the Charter is to have some powerful communication that really clearly sets out the messages, what's in it for the different types of stakeholders to become a member. Can you just elaborate a bit more on what we're planning there?
Yeah, absolutely. I think at the moment we're identifying all of the different stakeholder groups that are across the Charter. And as we're going through that process, we'll definitely want to think about, well, what issues are they facing, and therefore what messages and what information can we create that will address those issues. So I think as we finalise the communication strategy, I think we'll be in a better place to be able to actually detail what those key messages are per user group. So yeah, watch this space.
Thank you. And then I've got another question here, and I think that will be around, you know, how the national relays can support us with translations. Can the national relays make language corrections to the newsletter? Can you just expand maybe on how we're seeing that process working?
Yes, so with brutal honesty, the first version of the newsletter was perhaps not the way we would work. We did a kind of combined approach of using translators and also in-house with Ricardo and Vias. But moving forward, we want to be able to create an English version of the newsletter, which will then be sent to all of the national relays as a machine translation. So you'll have the English version of the newsletter and the machine translation into the national language. And then we would be asking national relays to review that machine translation and make edits where necessary. We'll then import that into our newsletter software, which will make it look all beautiful before it gets sent out. So at that point there will be an opportunity for you to edit in the national language. In terms of the previous newsletter that went out last week, the ones that are sitting in individuals' inboxes, we can now no longer edit. But if there was something specific that you wanted edited for the national language that now lives on the website, then we would welcome that, and we can make an edit on the website at any moment to change that if somebody's found something that needs to be edited.
Thank you, that's really helpful. Staying on the sort of language translation theme, we're asking national relays to send information to us. Do we expect that information to be sent to us, or will we be happy to accept information also in the other member state languages?
Yes, I think that we would hope that things would be communicated in English, but if things come to us in the national language, then we can translate that on a machine basis, or if anyone in-house has got language skills in that area. So if that's a barrier for them to share the information, then just to send it. But we will be posting information onto the website in English and using the automated translation on the website to create that in the multiple languages. So where possible in English, but if that's a barrier, then just send it in the national language, and we'll do our best to translate that using machine translation.
Perfect, thank you. Couple more questions, and then I think we have to draw this session to a close. So what are our thoughts on using LinkedIn? Obviously, you said we're going to be using Twitter and Facebook.
Yes, that's right. LinkedIn can be an excellent platform, but I think at the moment we are just focusing efforts on Facebook and Twitter because they are existing platforms. It's not to say that there won't be a moment that we deem LinkedIn to be something that we want to look into, but we also recognise all of the different user groups across the Charter and members being extremely varied. LinkedIn's quite a professional platform, but that's not always the case when we look at those who engage with the Charter. So for the moment, we feel that Twitter and Facebook provides the kind of more all-round platform for accessing those stakeholder groups. But that's not to say that in the future we wouldn't look to do LinkedIn, but we're just going to focus our efforts on reactivating Facebook and Twitter for now.
Okay, thank you. And I'll ask one final question. I know there are a lot more in the chat, but hopefully we'll have time to pick them up later, or if not, we will definitely follow up on them after the event. So how will we be re-engaging existing Charter members? What are our plans there?
Well, we're planning to do our first communication to members who, specifically members and not just newsletter subscribers, in the coming weeks, introducing the national relays. And as part of that, we also want to talk about our event today. And we also want to make sure that we can share new member stories and good practice stories to help really activate them and realise that we are reinvigorating the Charter and that we want them to kind of come back on board and look to how they can start to reactivate their projects and programmes. So in the coming weeks, we'll be doing our first specific member communication, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay, thank you very much, Lindsay. As I said, there are some more questions, but hopefully we can take them later on. I'll suggest, giving the time, we now move on to our next presenter, who's Vasiliki Daneli-Milona, who's president of BOD at the Road Safety Institute, RSI, Panos Minolas in Greece, who will be describing her experience in supporting the Charter and the vision for becoming a national relay. Over to you, Vasiliki.
Thank you, Alexandra. Good afternoon to everybody. I feel really privileged and challenged to address you all concerning the largest civil society platform on road safety, the European Road Safety Charter, and sharing knowledge to take action for road safety. Talking about our organization, next slide, please. The Hellenic Research and Educational Institute for the Prevention and Road Safety and Reduction of Traffic Accidents, Panos Milonas, was established 16 years ago after the tragic loss of my son on his 22nd year of age. He was completing his studies as aeronautical and mechanical and aeronautical engineering, and he was the youngest accredited journalist in WRC. This unfortunate tragic event fueled the establishment of the Road Safety Institute, starting from his university, and of course we supported this from the family, and very soon many organizations joined. RSI is a non-for-profit independent organization, non-governmental organization, but we work very closely with the government authorities and the private sector. Our vision is a world without road crashes, and our mission to raise awareness for the society and also to support the government and stakeholders to act for the prevention of road traffic crashes. Next slide, please. Basically, our work is based on three strategic pillars. You have to have a strategy to go ahead. The first pillar relates to general policy on road safety. We do a lot working with stakeholders, authorities. We analyze and evaluate road safety measures. Very often I am invited in the parliament, the Greek parliament, to present our views and proposed measures on the improvement of road safety. This was done recently also for the new law on micromobility. The second pillar has to do with road user behavior. We do a lot on this pillar: education, advocacy, lots of campaigns nationwide and not only. And the third pillar deals with infrastructure, the implementation of international best practices and the treatment of high-risk sites. Our personnel combines technological background with human sciences. We have engineers, sociologists, psychologists, researchers, and road safety experts. And this helps a lot in promoting road safety in Greece. I should say that during the last 10 years, we had a drop of road deaths in 49% and 63% of serious injuries. And along with the motorways implementation, RSI has contributed significantly to this improvement. Next slide, please. Our work has been acknowledged by international organizations since we work a lot, and we have undertaken numerous initiatives on the globe. We are in consultative status with the United Nations Economic and Social Council. We are members to organizations such as UNRSC, ETSC, FIA, IRF, founding members of yours. And we have been awarded by the European Parliament with the European Citizens Award, by the Swedish government, since we have contributed to the initiation of the ISO 39001, and a lot more that gives us empowerment and strengthens our activity. Next slide, please. During the 16 years of our work, we have been changing traffic safety culture in Greece, and we are really very committed and inspired on the cause. Here are some of our examples of our work concerning traffic safety and mobility education, education for all age groups. You can see some pictures from primary schools, high schools, cycling programs. Avenue for Traffic Safety addresses the corporate business and the military forces within the occupational health and safety. Hermes is a project addressing young traffic offenders and their families. The Supreme Court, through decisions, sends young offenders to us for specific programs. We do a lot for activating citizens through awareness raising. We organize the National Road Safety Week every March. We have organized the first blood bank for road crashes victims. We do prevention, but we want to respond for this as well. Pit stop for road safety in the motorways, clean up safety days, several activities that could serve for you as some examples and ideas that you could undertake as national relays, and in support mainly of the new signatories who want to commit for road safety. Next slide, please. We do a lot on campaigning and advocacy. You can see some examples for speeding. During the previous UN Road Safety Week, we did, with the support of FIA, a wonderful campaign. You can see the poster. There was a TV and radio spot also. Every summer, we organize a summer campaign. The title is Enjoy Visiting Greece, Stay Safe on the Road, just to inform the tourists that should be cautious. Greece has done a lot of improvement during the last 10 years, but we still have lots of road accidents, road crashes, and we don't want our visitors to be harmed. At the opening of the schools every September, we organize campaigns for drivers so that they should be cautious, and campaigns also for the main causes of road traffic crashes, such as drink driving, non-belt and non-helmet wearing, mobile use, and all other issues most of you well know. Another campaign, successful campaign, was that about the rear seat belt, texting and driving. We organized the first ever flash mob for road safety with the support of the European Commission. And we also address aggressive drivers and parental models. Next slide, please. Our Road Safety Institute was among the first to sign the Road Safety Charter, and very first to renew the commitment in 2010. And we have been gaining a lot of experience over that, and also providing ideas and sharing ideas with other organizations. And this has been very beneficiary for our organization, for our partners, and for road safety, of course. Next slide, please. Being the national relay in Greece since 2006, we have organized workshops. You can see some photographs. We have participated in workshops on presenting successful campaigns, on how to organize a campaign. Some of our campaigns have been globally recognized. And I was very pleased and surprised to hear in our previous discussion, breakout in the break room, about our new colleague from Bulgaria, that he has been inspired by some of our ideas looking at our website. And this is a good example we could gain from good practices. And of course, we have in our website all the news about the Road Safety Charter, the link, and uploading the latest news. We used to do that. Next slide, please. During the last 4 years, RSI has been the coordinating organization for a cluster of 7 European countries, and I was really happy to see in the list of participants many persons we have worked together. Our countries were Bulgaria, Cyprus, Estonia, Finland, Greece, Latvia, and Malta. Quite a combination, with countries ranking highest or lower in road safety. That was a great experience, and really inspiring, and a very constructive collaboration we had. Next slide, please. Now, the main responsibilities during these years of coordinating the cluster of our countries was to support the coordination of the European Road Safety Charter at national level, supporting the national relays, and also provide ideas about the activities of the signatories, monitoring the European Road Safety Charter membership in the cluster, updating the members' contact list at each country. It's something that has to be continuously, and you will have to do that, apart from addressing new signatories. Promoting all charter campaigns in the countries, and also promoting the Excellence in Road Safety Awards, which is an issue you will all have to do, with the support of the charter team, of course, and organizing a half-day workshop in each of the EU 7 countries, bringing together the authorities and the different stakeholders. And this is something that you will benefit personally, but also the country will have to benefit. This is a challenge ahead of you. The next slide, please. Here you can see some photos, one photo from each country we have been working with. In Bulgaria, I remember we had 4 ministers joining the half-day conference. In Finland, I see good friends, Matthew was there too. In Cyprus, in the President's house, we held the event with presence of ministers. In Malta, fantastic event. Pierre Vela was so active, and I'm very happy to see that he's still with the relays. And we had the minister, the traffic police, and all the key stakeholders. In Greece, of course, we had almost everybody. How could they not participate? We are very persistent, and we try to find ways to encourage and empower them, but also to push them. You need to combine, Matthew said that you know who ministers are active, who are not, so you have to find a way to bring them on board. Also seminars in Latvia and in Estonia. Next slide, please. So, coming to the lessons learned, the barriers and the challenges. And I should say that I believe you don't have to face many barriers. Some of the barriers have been tackled, and during the last 2 years, the Commission has been conducting research survey, evaluating the procedures and looking at the problems. And so procedures and problems have been settled. I could see only the language as a barrier. But since the materials will come to us in our country, in our native language, translated from English, here there is a responsibility to review the text from the national language, so as to make the corrections that are necessary, to make them on time, so that they could be uploaded duly on the websites and then be sent for information to stakeholders. One thing is about the inactive organizations. This is a task that has to be done, especially with the old ones. And it's important to motivate all the new members. You have to believe in road safety to make others believe in it. And I see a huge opportunity here to increase road safety through the European Road Safety Charter. Matthew mentioned this Charter as a main vehicle. You probably know that, I think it has been mentioned before, Europe is the safest continent on the globe. But there are disparities between the different countries. And we have a role to close this gap between the big disparities. And the Charter is a way to help doing that. So I believe that it's not such a difficult task. You have to be committed, you have to be competent, and you have to involve the national and the local authorities, working with the municipalities, addressing the different ministries who are involved and who have responsibilities on road safety, starting from Ministry of Transport and Ministry of Health, talking about prevention, are issues that you have to do, and you should not be discouraged. It's something that will bring together organizations from different areas for a common goal. Next one, please. So here I see a great importance and value added for being a national relay. The largest civil society platform, networking opportunities with distinguished organizations across Europe and beyond, enhancing the visibility as a road safety organization or association in your country and abroad, bringing local stakeholders together for road safety and sharing knowledge and exchanging good practices. The next slide, please. This is my last slide as tips to newcomers. Keep an open channel of communication with all members. Try to establish a good relationship with them. Stay always supportive. Ask for the support from the Charter team. Share any problem with the European Road Safety Charter team. Sharing the problems can solve the problems. And please seize this moment and accept the challenge. It's a real challenge. You should be privileged and proud that you are there, and we are all together and we can do things for saving lives and for living a better life that we all need and we very well deserve. Closing, you can see our contact details, the last slide. Last one, please. I'm very thankful to all of you. I'm thankful to all those who have worked so constructively all those years. And I look forward to meeting you all with our new management of the Road Safety Charter and the support of the European Commission, of course. And please don't hesitate to contact me or Vangelis from my team. You can see here our email, contact details. You can even call us. You can visit our website, and we are here to work together for saving lives. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for a very interesting and stimulating discussion, sharing all the past examples, challenges, barriers, and indeed the very useful good tips for newcomers. We are running quite a fair bit behind schedule. If there is maybe one key question for Vasiliki, then we can take that now. I don't think I've got any in the chat. Is there anyone with a raised hand?
No, I'm not seeing any raised hands or any questions at the moment. Okay.
Thank you very much again, Vasiliki, for this very inspirational presentation. I'll suggest we move on to our second and final breakout session, hopefully the presentations from our colleagues and the national relays in Spain and Greece will have given you some inspirations and ideas for the first 3 steps that you will undertake as a national relay to engage existing and new members. And as we're a bit short of time, we will now only have 15 minutes to discuss these ideas within your existing breakout rooms. So I think we're all back from the breakout sessions. Thank you very much, everyone, for some stimulating discussions. As previously mentioned, we will collate and review all your feedback received today to help us plan the support that we will provide to you over the coming months. We're also planning a press release over the coming weeks where we will be announcing the appointment of all the national relays, and we will also aim to include a short summary from today's discussions. We will contact all the national relay once a draft is ready so that we can work together to publicize the article in your local language and in the national context and share it with all the existing members of the Charter. Before we close today, maybe we have a few more minutes to take any immediate actions. I know we are out of time, but if you're willing to stay on, then I'm sure we'll have a few more minutes to take any more questions. I think there were a couple of questions left from the comms session, but before we do that and before people start to leave, could I ask that we stop presenting the slides, and if okay with you, would like to take a photo of everyone, do a screenshot if possible, which we can then also use in our forthcoming communications. So I think we are actually spread over 2 screens, but if my colleagues can take a screenshot, so if everyone can smile, please. And I think, are we done with the screenshot? No, not quite.
Thank you. All done. Yeah, all done.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So thank you very much, everyone, for your time today. Thank you very much for all the speakers and to everyone who's attended and for your valuable input today. I'd also like to say thank you to the team here at Ricardo and Andreas for the smooth organization and running of today's event. As I said, if you want to stay on, we can take a few more questions, but also what we really value, in addition to the feedback that you've already shared with us today, we'll be distributing a short survey, and I think the link will become available on the screen now. If not, we'll follow up by email with that, and it would be really valuable for us to get your feedback on the event today. So as I said, thank you very much to everyone, and we have a few more questions. So I think there are a couple more for Lindsay. One question was, how will we be able to measure the impact of the national relays actions at national level? Say, for example, the national relay sends out some social media posts encouraging a certain action. How will the national relay know how many visits came from that particular action? This will, of course, also be very relevant to measuring impact and KPIs for the national relays?
Yeah, of course. For specific campaigns, we can generate links that are specific to individual national relays, so that we can then track those links back. So there, we call them campaign links, but they can then attribute the action to that link, and therefore we can see where they've come from. So for specific campaigns or information that we want the national relays to send, we can generate those links, and then we're able to track them back.
Okay, thank you. And then another question was, if we are producing leaflets and brochures, etc., are we also planning to have business cards with the Charter logo for the national relays?
That was something we were just discussing in the breakout room that I was involved in as well. And I think that we could quite easily create a template for a business card, and I think that would be actually a great addition to the kind of toolkit of resources. So I think that's definitely something I'm going to take away as an action today, to add to the list of things that we'll look at when we're refreshing the designs and branded collateral.
Okay, fantastic. And sorry, Lindsay, another question for you. Is the press release going to be shared on the website of the Commission? So the press release I just mentioned on the website of the Commission only, or is it also going to be sent to the national media? If not sent to national media, could the national relay resend it to the national media?
Yeah, so the press release will definitely be going onto the website, and it will be available in each official EU language. And absolutely, once that's out in the public domain, then we would welcome the national relays to take that article and spread it as wide and as far as possible. So if they have any good relationships with press, which is kind of key to success of working with press, then we'd welcome you to exploit that as best you can, and that would just help us take our message further.
Fantastic, thank you. I think I haven't got any more questions. Are there any more questions, Thomas?
No, there aren't. No, there aren't. The last one was the last question you just read out. So no further questions.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you very much, everyone, again for your valuable input and your time today. And we're really looking forward to working with all of you over the coming months, supporting the European Commission in achieving its Vision Zero. So thanks again, and we will be in touch by email with further information. And thank you again for helping us to shape the plans to support you. Thank you.